Hello and welcome. After 11 days of the UDF getting 102 MLAs elected in Kerala, Kerala finally has a chief minister, VD Satheesan. Of course, there was competition from KC Venugopal and Ramesh Chennithala. They were also said to be in the race. I'm joined on this program by Mr. K. Shaji and also Anand Kochukudy. Both are very senior journalists from Kerala. Thank you so much for joining us. Anand, to you first. This entire decision making seemed to be going into the super overs. Even this morning, there seemed to be word that it is possibly KC Venugopal, even though yesterday, there was indication that it would be VD Satheesan. What was really going on and what tilted this in favor of Satheesan?
Uma, I am not really sure what all went behind the scenes because there's a limit to what you can gather from talking to people, and you can never second guess Rahul Gandhi what goes on in his mind. They were having so many deliberations. I spoke to some CWC members. I spoke to some, one of the observers who came to Kerala, but they did not reveal too much. I mean, I could read between the lines, but. Whatever I gathered from them, it seemed that the MLAs were clearly in favor of KC Venugopal, but the popular opinion is in favor of VD Satheesan in Kerala. So they had passed the buck, or they had passed the ball to the High Command to take a decision. And it was quite evident that the AICC observers, the AICC General Secretary in Kerala, Deepa Das Punshi, they were all batting for KC Venugopal and Rahul Gandhi for all his fairness. He seemed to be very close to KC Venugopal. In fact, KC Venugopal draws all his power. How did he gather 47 MLAs? If I'm not mistaken, 47 is the number out of 63 that the number of people who wanted him to be chief minister. So how did he get all those MLAs? Just by being Rahul Gandhi's confidant and being the general secretary organization that he assumed in 2018 December after Ashok Gehlot was similarly parachuted into Rajasthan to replace or to become the chief minister instead of Sachin Pilot, who similarly led the party to victory there, just like VD Satheesan in Kerala. But eventually that decision proved to be the wrong decision. But in Kerala, Rahul Gandhi seems to have eventually swayed to public opinion. And after meeting, I think I really feel that after meeting VM Sudhiran, who is a former PCC president and whom Rahul Gandhi trusts a lot, after having a conversation with him late evening, he met the other PCC presidents in one batch, former PCC presidents who were called to Delhi to to get a sense of what the mood on the ground. So after speaking to VM Sudhiran, I think Rahul Gandhi tilted in favor of VD Satheesan, and eventually he had to take a decision that the Gandhis themselves, they themselves have come to Kerala on many occasions when
Yeah.
they found the heat, in Amethi or in Raebareli, when they found the going tough there, they had to come to Kerala to win elections. So, and the Gandhi family has a lot of goodwill. They enjoy a lot of goodwill in Kerala. So to not risk losing all that, I think Rahul Gandhi eventually took the right decision after seeking the advice of VM Sudhir and AK Anthony. AK Anthony, I believe, told him that either VD Satheesan or Ramesh Chennithala would be fine because a bypoll would have to be avoided. But he also gave that he also conveyed that the groundswell of support in favor of VD Satheesan is something that cannot be ignored, especially after dragging on this issue for 10 days. I mean, if this issue was resolved in 2 or 3 days, and if somebody was named, whoever it was named in a couple of days, then things wouldn't have gotten so worse. So after
Yes, indeed.
dragging
I
things
mean, let me
on,
bring in Mr. Shaji here. The
Yes,
protests that we saw on the ground, or even the social media, the kind of support that VD Satheesan seemed to get, what kind of a role did that play? Because there was some talk that was it spontaneous or was it something that was orchestrated?
it was not spontaneous, but it is the culmination of a long process. And even last night, before sleeping, I went through some of the Malayalam television channels, and the most powerful general secretary of the Nair Service Society, the community organization representing the majority community Nairs in Kerala, Mr. Sukumaran Nair, was making a series of allegations against Sadishan. And then I decided Satheesan would be the possible chief minister. And this is the last ditch attempt on the part of the Western interest in Kerala to somehow prevent his elevation. But another level, it is not the fulfillment of a long ambition of the ordinary workers of the Congress in the state, because Satheesan earned the confidence of not just the party workers. Technically, the more MLAs who were owing allegiance to Vedugopal, that may be true. But another level, he won over the Congress machinery across the state. He won the confidence of the ordinary workers. And at the same time, he won over all the alliance partners of the Congress, all the UDF member constituents in the state. And also, he made rapid, deep inroads into the civil society in Kerala. So the civil society part, the last day I was talking to the private secretary of Rahul Gandhi, he was telling me his WhatsApp account getting bombarded with thousands of messages every day. He saying he was struggling hard to delete all these messages coming from the Kerala society. And even the personal mail ID of Rahul Gandhi, it was actually rejecting the messages. It was filled beyond capacity, and they were not able to even accept the new mails. So such was a huge response from the civil society in Kerala. The one issue I will tell you, in the last 10 years, we saw a kind of government in which a kind of monarchy is ruling. There was no dissent. There was no even space for raising questions, even for the leftist people, the supporters of the LDF. But on the other side, Satheesan, in the last 5 years, he proved he was one of the hardcore political opposition leader. He was raising disturbing questions against the power structure. And at the same time, he created an impression that he is accessible, he is democrat, and he is answering the questions from the general public from the media. At one level, he positioned himself as a harsh leader and who is taking on directly with Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan. But at the other level, he deliberately cultivated an image that he is accessible, anybody can approach him, anybody can raise questions to him, and even people can criticize him freely. And on the third level, he always said this team UDF, team UDF, team UDF. So the numbers, the majority enjoyed by Vedugopal in the Congress party, the Congress legislature party, that turning insignificant or ineffective because Sadish is getting the total mandate of the UDF, the whole UDF. Because always he was telling the team UDF campaign, team UDF worked, and team UDF won the fruits of the election. So that
Yeah,
is
that's
the
an important point.
tragedy
He took
here.
his alliance partners along, the Congress alliance partners along, and even in his first press conference after he was named as the chief minister, he spoke about Team UDF. Obviously, the
Yeah.
IUML's backing, the backing of the other groups played a very important part. Is that going to be a problem when you're talking about a team? If your MLAs, the same MLAs have actually voted for someone else to be their leader as chief minister, is that going to be a challenge for Satish?
I don't think it's going to be a challenge for Satheesan because these MLAs they were not loyalists of Venugopal even 5 years ago. These were all these MLAs the MLA elects who have been elected now. They've all been groomed in the last 3 to 4 years. Many of them were with Chenidala. A whole bunch of them were with Umman Chandi, the whole A faction, which A stands for AK Anthony, but then it became the Umman Chandi group. So the entire Umman Chandi faction has been purchased wholesale. I use the word purchase, but it's not purchase, but the currency is patronage, not something else. So by extending patronage, from the high as part of the high command, Venugopal managed to earn their loyalty. So it's as simple as that. So the congressmen in Kerala, they don't have any fixed loyalties. It's not like K. Karunakaran's and A.K. Antony's days when these leaders would start off from Kerala Students' Union, which is the NSUI equivalent in Kerala. Then they would graduate to the Youth Congress. Then they would graduate eventually the Congress as a general secretary, then to the DCC, and then to the state Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee. So, they would have some 20, 30 years of, standing in the party before, they eventually become faces, Kerala faces, and then, they can't abandon a leader in such a fashion, just as what happened in Congress in Kerala in the recent past is very different to what I have been explaining. In the last 5 to 10 years, ever since Congress lost, Chandi lost in 2016, and Chandi, health started getting worse, and then in 2021, by 2021, he was not active anymore. Chenithila was the leader, and Chenithila couldn't lead the party to victory. So in the last 5 years, then the Congress was in a flux in Kerala. So leaders were moving from one faction to the other. There was no fixed loyalty. So if all those MLAs are with Venugopal now, they have a clear reason. It's not that they have any love for Venugopal or they have any real loyalty with Venugopal. It's just transactional. I hope I have conveyed that, how it's different from the days of A.K. Antony and K. Karunakaran, where leaders would hesitate to switch. It would be very difficult for somebody to switch from Antony faction to Karunakaran faction. It's nothing like that. So if Satheesan becomes a good chief minister, takes everybody on board, and if he doesn't end up becoming a Pinarayi Vijayan of sorts, then he has a chance to get many of these MLAs who are backing Venugopal to come over to his side. And he doesn't really need to get all the MLAs to be his loyalists to become an able chief minister. V.S. Achyutanandan is a
Absolutely.
good example. 2006 to 11, he ran a good government, a reasonable, good, decent government. Not like it cannot be compared to, it cannot be hailed as the greatest or the best administration, but he managed to run a government which was hobbled by the party itself. Pinarayi Vijayan commanded the whole party, and he had important people like Kodiyeri Balakrishnan as the home minister, checkmating Achyutanandan almost at every move, and then he managed to run that government. So Satheesan can easily do that, and maybe he can get a few more MLAs to his side. He started off with just 3 MLAs. He just had 3 MLAs when after when the headcount began after the election with 63 MLAs. Satheesan had just 3 MLAs. Now he got more than 7 or 8. So I think if he becomes chief minister, I think he has a chance to get as many more
Yeah.
MLAs to back him, some ministers to back him. So it won't be an issue.
Yeah. Mr. Shaji, obviously it is not just the MLAs whose word has prevailed. There have been consultations across the party leadership. But more importantly, the role of the alliance partners like the IUML, rightly so with their 22 MLAs this time, MLA elects this time, they would have had a bigger say as well. That was a concern before elections, isn't it? That the Christian community feels that maybe the Muslim community will get more rewarded under the UDF. Their influence would be so much more. Is that something that needs to be again given a balance by Mr. Satheesan under these circumstances? Because it is obvious that the alliance partners, he keeps talking about Team UDF, that is what has stood Mr. Satheesan in good stead, other than what we have been talking about, that he was democratic, that he was very proactive, and he was seen as the man who was leading this entire campaign and the campaign of the UDF to victory.
Yeah, I already said about the Nair Service Society and its leader Sukumaran Nair. And another powerful leader is the Irava community leader, SNDP Yoga General Secretary Vellapalli Nadesan, very infamous for making anti-Muslim statements, pro-Hindutva statements, but at the same time he is pretending as a close friend of Pinarayi Vijayan. And this Vellapalli Nadesan, Sukumaran Nair, and one of the most conventional Islamic leader, Kantapuram Abu Bakr Muslia, both are vehemently opposing Satheesan for law. And one of the most respected writers and social observers, political observers in Kerala, Professor M.N. Karaseri, recently observed that if these three people, very known for their regressive stance, they are collectively opposing one politician, then there must be something positive in that politician. And 5 years ago, when the LDF got another mandate to rule the state, and
Yeah.
Congress suffered a humiliating defeat, and the 5 year cycle ended at least temporarily in the state. At that time, the Christian community was far away from the Congress. The Muslim community, there were divisions, and a sizable portion of the Muslims had voted in favor of the LDF. But in the last 5 years, Satheesan took a very diplomatic kind of stand. At one level, he continued his aggressive posturing, aggressive stand against leaders, regressive leaders like Kandamura Babukar Musalia or Vellapalli Nation or Sukumaran Nair and other regressive forces. But at the same time, he brought Congress much more closer to the minority communities, the backward communities, the Ijava community. So the normal kind of people, ordinary kind of people who lost their connection or the emotional connection with the Congress in the past, they were able to come back to the Congress fold. That is one of the
In fact,
biggest
he mentioned to
achievements
us
of
when we met him in the run up to elections, he mentioned to us that I don't have to go through an IUML to reach out to the Muslim community. I reach out directly as well. And what you're saying is precisely that both of them, I mean, he has tried to reach out to all the communities through his own channels instead of necessarily depending on the parties which are supposed to represent these very communities. Finally, to both of you, he has the majority. He has become the chief minister. In what do you expect to be his biggest challenge? Of course, he has been speaking about the debt condition of the state and so on and so forth. What do you expect to be the biggest challenge for Mr. Satheesan in the days to come?
Undoubtedly, he is the team leader. He has the ability to coordinate well. But at the same time, there are big challenges because the Congress this time, the manifesto given taller promises to the Kerala community. So the people are expecting too much from him. At one level, the manifesto. At another level, his own personal conviction and his own goodwill he has created across the state and the confidence he built up among different parts of society. So there must be conflict in the coming days. There must be financial convulsions. There must be political convulsions. So he has to do a big effort. And the judge concluded by press meet, he already mentioned the challenges are enormous and he needs to work hard. He said the team will work hard and they will find out solutions and they will answer all the needs of the people. And I am not saying Sadish is not a miracle man. I am not saying so. And I don't want to give him a kind of cult worshipping kind of positioning. But on one level, he's sincere, he's matter of fact, and he is the most logistic and very logic kind of leader in Kerala. So there is hope, there is a renewed hope, a democratic leader who is not averse to criticism, not averse to self-criticism, and a person with a fresh perspective. And even as a long-time MLA, he was known
Yeah.
for his best assembly speeches, which were reflective of a bright future for Kerala, which were reflective of financial discipline, which were reflective of kind of a sustained kind of development, having larger concern for environment. Those issues would be addressed. So I am one thing, I am particular, the Satheesan who fought and won against the controversial Silver Line project that might have a great disastrous impact on Kerala. Then his good approach, his good vision will provide.
Anand, to you, not just the promises and the dream that Satheesan himself built up, there is also the Congress guarantees that they have promised in Kerala. Is that going to be too much for him? Of course, initial days yet.
Yeah, Kerala is under a huge debt burden. I have no idea how they are going to finance all this. But apart from that, the question that you asked to Shaji about balancing community interests. So Shaji rightly said that the NSS, the SNDP, the Kantapuram faction leader, Kantapuram AP Abubakar Musaliar, they are all regressive. But Satishan's biggest challenge in the coming days would be, balancing the fact that he got the most regressive outfit of all. He may not agree with me. Shaji may not agree with me on this point, but he got the most regressive community of all to consolidate the Muslim community votes. That is the Jamaat Islami. So the Christian community in Kerala, they have a huge problem with the Jamaat Islami because they profess to be leftist, they profess to be progressive, but deep within, they are anything but that. They are flag bearers of political Islam, and this is a big issue that he will have to balance out in the coming days. How to carry the Christian community along. He has managed to build bridges with all the Christian churches except for the Syro Malabar Church. Some of the bishops still see him with suspicion, but the Syro Malabar Church is also susceptible to the BJP's, reaching out to them. The BJP is building bridges with the Christian community primarily through the Syro Malabar Church, and it is sizable. The among the Christian community in Kerala, the Syro Malabar
Yeah.
Church is the most numerically larger church. So Satheesan will have to ensure that the Congress in Kerala just doesn't end up as a minority outfit or even a Muslim outfit, as the Congress has been reduced to in various states. Satheesan is a Nair, Chennithala is a Nair, Venugopal is a Nair, but if you look at the party's performance in Thrissur and Thiruvananthapuram districts, the Hindu community still hasn't voted in large numbers for the Congress in an election when everybody knew that the leader or the chief minister would be a Nair. So Satheesan will have to ensure that he also reaches out. Now that he's chief minister, it's easy for him to reach out to the Nair community, which has been the traditional vote bank of the Congress in Kerala, to the Syro Malabar Church, and to everybody, treat everybody equally. That's basically it. To not
Yeah.
appear as an appeasement figure, and to win elections, people do all kinds of things. People can take, you can forgive him for taking the Jamaat Islami on board, but once he is chief minister, he'll have to show that he is the chief minister of everybody and that he ditches Jamaat Islami for good.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Anand and Shaji, for talking to DeKoder. Yes, Mr. Satheesan has proved himself to be a great leader of the opposition. Now, in the chief minister's chair, many challenges, but hopefully the best wishes from all of us to Kerala and to his chief minister to lead the state to become what it is destined to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.